Hey you guys, Connor here. Welcome back to another part of my English series overview. So last week, Friday, Revue Starlight came out. It's taking me a minute to get the video up because I've been in Houston for the regional event. But here we are. Time to talk about some Revue Starlight, which, funnily enough, did win. It was on the winning team for Houston. So pretty good set. I considered playing it myself. I just didn't get enough time testing it to feel really confident in it. But here I'll talk about what I think from the testing I have done, what the 10 best cards in the set are. So moving straight in, we've got our top 10 cards. I'm going to show you lots of Karen and Hikari here because you're probably not going to see much of them later. Alright, so number 10, I'm sorry, not number 10. Before we start, honorable mention. I think this card is really good and a potential reason to consider playing Revue Starlight. But it doesn't quite make my top 10 list because it is very sort of narrow in what it's trying to do. So that's Spectating Karuko Hanayagi. This is a level assist, and it gives your middle position character 500 power. And the third effect is what we're really playing it for. It's auto, beginning of your opponent's main phase, you can pay 1. If you do, choose 1 card in your opponent's clock, put it into his or her waiting room, and if you do, your opponent puts the top card of their deck into their clock. So what this does is it lets you remove Mirai Ticket Rico, it lets you remove Swimsuit Megumin, it lets you remove Obstinate Deathwish Pitohui, all these things from your opponent's clock that they need as early play conditions, mainly. Once we get ReZero Volume 2 in the fall, the Puck level 0 that enables an Amelia early play, you'll be able to remove that, so they won't be able to early play the minus Soul Amelia. Lots of things like that, right? The main one, obviously, is Love Live Sunshine, because their whole deck really revolves around the Mirai Ticket engine. Konosuba obviously still gets their like Aqua early plays, and the Megumin early plays aren't a huge part of what makes the deck good, just sort of one of the many pieces that make it good. And Gun Gale Online obviously still gets the experience condition early plays. They just lose their Pitohui condition. But that is sort of, in my opinion, a pretty good reason to play this card. And a strong enough effect to make it something that if these are the series you're trying to beat, maybe you play Revue Starlight because this gives you a good matchup against them. Or a better matchup against them, rather. So yeah, that's why it's my honorable mention. However, since it's only good against those specific matchups, and at that one point in the game, it doesn't quite make my top 10 list. Moving in though, number 10, I have Stage Girls, Summer, Claudine, Saijo. So this is on play, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's Revue, put it in hand, discard 1. And on play, mill 2, there's a climax. This gains 3,000 until end of turn. Seems a little underwhelming. And I will admit, a lot of the cards in this set are, unfortunately, a little underwhelming. But it's sort of the combinations of them that end up making this deck passable. And like one card in particular that makes the deck really good. But the hand filter gives you a discard out, and this card effectively mills 3. So you can use this in combination with lots of effects to mill through your deck, to hand filter, get rid of extra climaxes or cards you don't need. And this deck can potentially use a lot of like top checking abilities to give you information of the top card of your deck. And when it's a card you don't want it to be, this is something that can move it and make it a different card. So you'll actually see that probably as a theme through a lot of these. Always being able to sort of control the top card of our deck and make it what we want it to be. Number 9, I have Person by Your Side, Mahiru Suyuzaki. So this is a 0/0. It's a level 0 bomb. This is the second effect. The first effect is when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is level 2 or higher, put it into your stock. So this card is similar to the Buta 0/0 from Gurren Lagann. but instead of bouncing back to hand, it's a reverser for level 0. So this is sort of one of the payoffs of like knowing the top card of our deck. Whenever it's level 2 or higher, we get a free stock, effectively. And if we see the top card of our deck and it's not level 2 or higher, this is one of those times where we can play the Claudine that I just showed to mill cards, and then maybe it's a level 2 or higher on the next one. But a lot of the builds of this deck do require a fair amount of stock, and this can give you, maybe it's an extra 1 to 2 stock a game, even if it's only 1 stock. Being a reverser is not the worst thing in the world. It helps you deal with oversizes, which are kind of an issue for this deck outside of the middle lane. Middle position you can handle, but the left and right are a little harder, and this gives you a way to contest oversizes. So it's not the worst card even outside of the stock effect, but the stock effect does help a lot. And there are some cards that aren't in my top 10 list that will let you bounce this and recur the effect, which makes it even more powerful. Number 8, we have Giraffe. So Giraffe is when your other Revue character or this card is placed on the stage from your hand, you may look at the top card of your deck, and then you just put it back. So this is sort of what's enabling all the top checking and giving us information. And then pay 2, rest this card. You can search your deck for a Revue character, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle. So that is one way to change the top card of our deck. It's also a 2-stock plus. 2 stock's a little heavy, but it is very selective. We will always get the exact card we want. So that's pretty good. And so right, say we play Giraffe, we see the top card of our deck, then we can play Claudine to change it, and then Giraffe triggers again off of playing Claudine, so then we get to see what it is. So every time we remove the top card of our deck, we get to see the next one. Or say you play Giraffe, you see a level 2, so you play Mahiru, the level 0 bomb, stock that card, and you get to look at the next card. So you sort of always know what's happening, right? And there's so many cards that work with Giraffe, it just makes it a very powerful tool to just sort of always have on your board. Games where Giraffe is in your opening hand become much different, very quickly, in terms of just how much information you're getting and how many effects you can resolve, sort of guaranteed, or cards that you can hold off on playing once you get confirmation that the effect is going to fail. It just gives you a lot more value out of your effects and your cards. And then obviously pay 2 rest search is, like I said, expensive, but being able to guarantee, an extra copy of your level 1 combo or something is pretty good. Moving into number 7, this is a trial deck card, the Stage of Fate, Karen Ijo. So on play, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Revue character, you may deal 1 damage. So this is, once again, another effect that benefits from the knowledge of the top card of our deck. And then when this card is frontal attacked, you may pay the cost. If you do, return this to your hand. It's 1 stock. So it denies reverse effects. It recurs the damage ability, which is pretty cool. Overall, not an amazing card, but it's splashable, right? It's one of the only level 3s, potentially the only level 3 finisher, I think, in this set that is not tied to a climax, which is pretty relevant because, sometimes you don't want to need your climax at top end, and this lets you get away without doing that. It's not a ton of damage, but the cool utility of being able to deny reverses and finish is pretty cool. Moving to number 6, we have Period I Want to Protect, Nana Daiba. So this is one of the yellow double rare level 3s from the set. It's meant to be a backstage level 3, obviously. First effect is during your turn, your middle position gets 1,000 power. All the time, all your other Revue characters get 1,500 power. And then on play, it heals, and on play, you can pay 1 to choose a character in your opponent's waiting room and put it on an open position of your opponent's stage. So this is pretty cool. It forces your opponent to have characters on their board, which is... there are some reverse effects in this set. It's if you need a target to reverse for your climax combo, which is the Karan level 3 climax combo. It does need to reverse in order to deal 3 damage. So this can guarantee a reverse target. Because you can just be like, oh wow, let's play this random level 0 onto your board. It's also good with like, there's a restanding combo in the set. And as many people are familiar, or if you're not, one of the biggest weaknesses of restanders is direct attacking. Because if they're forced to direct attack, they keep the soul from each attack. And in this set in particular, the Maya is attacking 3 times usually. So if you direct attack once, you're 2 soul base, you play the climax, direct attack for 4, stand direct attack for 5, stand direct attack for 6, and that's not counting any of your triggers that you've hit. It's pretty bad. And this allows you to, summon a level 0. So you want to summon like a level 0 to their middle position or a level 1 to their middle position. Where your Maya is going to be, you can start side attacking it, right? So you're still not giving them a counter step, but you're making sure you're not gaining that soul from direct attacking. So now instead of like 4, 5, 6, you can go 3, 3, 3 or 2, 2, 2, which is obviously much more powerful. Next, moving into number 5, we have Begin Cleanup, Mahiru Tsuyuzaki. So this is a 1045. When it attacks, if you have 2 or more other characters, it gains 2,000. So this is attacking for 65, which is a pretty reasonable number for a utility card. Because this card isn't really something we're meaning to attack with a lot, I guess. It's more something we're playing for its utility effect. But being 65 makes it even better. So its auto ability is, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your waiting room. If there's a climax, you may discard 1 to salvage 1. So it's a hand fix. Unfortunately, it's not a plus. I would have definitely enjoyed if this was like the Betty from ReZero, where you just choose a character in your waiting room and add it to your hand, instead of having to discard to do it. But this does give us a discard out occasionally. You obviously have to mill a climax in order to do anything. But you can play these just to mill. It's especially good, again, with knowing what the top cards of our deck are, right? Because if you see the top card of your deck and you're like, wow, that's a climax, and you're like, I can hand fix off of that. Or, oh, it's not a climax. This is fine to mill 2, and then I'll brainstorm, right? Because you can remove cards to fit whatever circumstance you need, which is really good, and it's one of the strong suits of this deck. As I keep I'm going to repeat this over and over again. Obviously, the knowledge of top card of deck is really important here, and it's a powerful thing that you can abuse. So this is just one of your mini payoffs. But being a costless 6,500 just sort of means that it's one of the few payoffs that you can field and win on offense with, right? So that's why it comes in at 5 for me. Number 4 is Full of Fighting Spirit, Futaba Isurugi. So this is a 0/1000, but if it's in the middle position of your center stage, it becomes a 2 soul 4000. Obviously, you can only have like one of these on the board that's actually relevant because you only have one middle position. But that's fine. This is usually your like 4 of choice, where most decks will play like a runner or some other oversize. You're just playing a 2 soul 4K because 4K is big. A lot of decks can't really deal with a 4K. They're either direct attacking your other lanes or side attacking your Futaba. And she sort of, most oversizes lose value throughout the game because, oh man, here's my 3,500 level 1. Once you're in level 1 and in level 2, it doesn't really matter that you're 35 or like an oversized or whatever, because you're still too small. But Futaba retains value because any turn you can play her to the middle position, and she's a 2 soul beater that you didn't have to pay any stock for, which helps you keep up in the damage race. It helps you push damage when necessary. Stuff like that is really powerful and just a nice sort of utility to have. This is, I guess, also worth noting. There's a bond to this. It's a 0/500. You clock yourself to bond the Futaba from Waiting Room. So you can sort of always have access to her throughout the game, repeatedly. And the bond's other effect is on attack, you can discard a card to return a character to your hand. So that's the one I was mentioning, where you can like return the Mahiru bomb in order to top check for stock again, or you can return any of the many like on play put cards from your deck into your Waiting Room effects to sort of recur mill and recur utility hand fixes. So it sort of, this card ties in with a package that also just still helps the rest of your deck really well. At number 3, we have My Own Shine, Kaoruko Hanayagi. So this is the Brainstorm I chose to put in my top 10. There's another Brainstorm that you're probably expecting to be in here, but spoiler alert, it's not. I think this is the good Brainstorm for the set. It's a pay 1, risk this card, Brainstorm 4. For each climax, choose a character in your Waiting Room, return it to your hand. So it's just a self-tap salvage Brainstorm, and with all these like mill effects on play, your Waiting Room is usually a good enough toolbox that you don't need a search Brainstorm, which the double rare Brainstorm from this set is a search Brainstorm. Usually choosing from Waiting Room is fine, even early game, because we can mill a lot. Or at least a good enough amount for it to still be fine. The other effect is pretty cool, especially in this meta right now. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, choose one of your characters, and that character gets the following ability until the end of your opponent's next turn. Continuous, this card cannot become reversed by auto effects of your opponent's characters. So you might be wondering, like, oh wow, why is this relevant? Like, what am I trying to stop from getting reversed? Well, let me tell you. Your 4K 2-soul Futaba, bombs still kill that, because it doesn't gain a level, just a soul. So you can protect your Futabas early game. Love Live Sunshine Chica. If you put this effect on your Mahiru 1-0, Chica cannot reverse it because she's too small. If you put this effect on, like, I mean, hell, is Chica 35, right? So, like, she can't even kill your Futaba 4Ks without an assist. I know the Gun Gale Trial Deck combo is like a 3K, so it can't kill you. I can actually pull that up right now. So let's see. Sword Art Online Alternative, Gun Gale Online. Our Trial Deck combo is a massive 3,000 power. Yep. So it can't level 1 bomb your Futabas without a climax in play. It can't beat Mahirus even with a climax in play, and it can't reverse them. So that's just like free pluses for you, right? If we go to Love Live Sunshine, I should know these powers off the top of my head, but I was right about 3,000. I'm pretty sure I'm right about 35. Oh no, she is 4,000. I'm sorry. But 4,000 with a stock soul still doesn't beat your Mahirus, right? So Chica can't resolve combo on your Mahirus. Various series that play like Konosuba plays a level 1 bomb alongside the Bunny Union a lot of times. Not a whole lot of other sets play level 1 bombs, but like Konosuba, Sunshine, Gun Gale is pretty big sets. Bang Dream in like the blue-red builds somewhat often plays level 1 bombs alongside Yukino 1-0. Especially if they're playing the Remy Brainstorm and don't need the Resonate target, or like the Resonate engine. So they don't have to play Lisa 1-0. And you can just protect your cards from these bombs, right? Anti-change bombs, you can protect, like, if you're playing early plays, you can protect them from anti-change bombs if your opponent has reverse, like the ones that reverse. Though, like, those are less frequent. But it's just a really cool, like, utility effect to have against those decks. Especially when, like, you have the bond that I was talking about, and you can bounce your Brainstorm back to hand and keep playing it for this effect. Sometimes you can just, like, you know, crash your bond because it's only 500 power. Bounce your... So you can attack with, like, attack Brainstorm, attack Mahiru, attack, and, like, crash Bonder, bounce Brainstorm. So they can't reverse your Brainstorm because you bounced it. They can't reverse the Bonder because it crashed. And they can't reverse the Mahiru because they can't use auto effects to reverse it, right? So you've just denied Chicos, and that's pretty cool. It's a powerful line of play, and it's also just a good self-tap brainstorm anyway, right? So that's why it comes in at my number 3. I value its secondary effect much higher than the effect on the other brainstorm, and I'll talk about the other brainstorm in one of my deck builds, because I actually have it in there. Moving to number 2, we have my own Shine Karen Ijo. So this is a pretty well-known card profile. So on play, look at the top card of your deck and put it on the top of your deck or into your waiting room. So this is another way to change the top card of our deck off of like giraffe top, look at top card or anything like that. And then the other effect is pay 1, put the top card of your deck into your clock. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a level 1 or lower character in your waiting room, return it to your hand. So it lets us get level 1 or lower. It's a plus. So pay 1, clock 1 plus. If we play a lot of things to middle, the selection's decent on it. Obviously, you are wanting to play this earlier. Like, you're more consistently wanting to play it earlier than, like, brainstorming out of waiting room and stuff. So your selection's not going to be as good as some of the other waiting room effects, like, just based on timing. But, unfortunately, it is the only, like, pay 1, clock 1 plus we have access to in this set. So that's one we're going to go with. It's still a really good one. It helps you tri-field. It lets you recur, like, your 2 soul beaters. It lets you recur your bonds after they die, which is cool, but clocks yourself a lot. It just lets you pick up level 1 combos, giraffes, whatever. Like, level 0 bombs to get more stock back. A lot of stuff like that it lets you do. At a plus. And, like, there's cool sequencing where you can go, like, play giraffe, look at the top card of my deck. You're like, oh, that's a card that I can, like, I'm fine putting that in my clock. It's a card I don't need. So then you play Karen, and you pay 1, clock the card that you saw. Grab a card out of your waiting room. Then use her auto effect to look at the top card. If you like it, you can just leave it there. If you don't like it, you can put it in waiting room, and then look again off of giraffe effect. So this you see just, like, a lot of cards and move through a lot of cards. And then you're like, at any point, if you just see a climax there, you're like, oh, well, I'll just leave this one on top. And then I'll brainstorm, get another plus. Or maybe play the Mahiru 1-0 and hand filter. Or you stop on, like, say you play her, clock the top card of deck, and then use her auto, look at the next card, and it's a level 2. And you're like, yeah, I'll just leave that on top. Giraffe effect, still leave it on top, obviously. Play Mahiru Bomb, stock charge that, look at the next card. There's just so much powerful sequencing you can do. It's really a cool deck to play. And, you know, Krista effect's good. Now for my number 1, the only climax combo on this list, actually. Our Flower Path Karuko Hanayagi, level 3. This card, where do I start? We're going to start with the auto ability on play. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's characters, return it to his or her hand, and this card gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. I don't know why they decided to give this 2,000 power. It's not relevant. It's never relevant. This card could be 500 power. You don't care. It doesn't matter. I wish this was like Hagumi, where it was draw 1, discard 1, return 1 to hand. That might be too powerful, though. You can bounce a thing. You actually almost always want to bounce a thing in direct. Hagumi, you wanted to bounce back row. And then, like, side attack because you're twin row and you can get lots of soul. This, nope. Just always bounce. Pretty much. There's, like, a small, tiny couple of times that you don't want to bounce. But this time, yeah, we're bouncing because we don't want counter steps, really, for our opponent. We also, when we look at the second effect, it activates when our opponent cancels. So we actually don't care if they cancel. Swinging 4 is perfectly fine with us, right? This takes away their counter steps. If you're against, like, P5, you can bounce Futabas, same as Hagumi. You can bounce Futabas so they can't use Climax Combo to stop your damage. You can bounce, like, Encore Assist, I guess, if you're going to kill something anyway and your opponent doesn't really have relevant counters. But generally, you just want to bounce front row because counters can mess you up. If they can't play counters, they can do absolutely nothing to stop you. And this combo, I'll just read the Climax combo because it's insane. Climax combo, when the return trigger is placed on your climax area, if this card's on your center stage, you can pay 1 and put a character with Futaba or Kaoruko in its card name from your hand into your waiting room. And you'll notice, lots of my top 10 list is Futabas and Kaorukos. Partially because they tie into this, but also just they have the best cards, for the most part. So, yeah, easy. You just fill your deck with... we always say this deck has like an insane top end and mediocre rest of the deck, but it does actually have a pretty decent rest of the deck. Regardless, if you pay the cost, all of your other characters get the following ability until end turn. This activates up to 1 time per turn. When damage dealt by this card is cancelled, you may deal 2 damage to your opponent. Not 1, 2. So, let's picture the world where we play 3 Kaorukos, and we use this Climax combo 3 times. All of our Kaorukos have 2 instances of on cancel deal 2, meaning we are effectively swinging for 4-2-2, 4-2-2, 4-2-2. That is a lot of damage. That is a ton of damage. That is Yami, but twice, basically, right? Because instead of all you guys having double cancel burn 1, they have double cancel burn 2. And we thought Yami was good. No, this is the new standard for on cancel deal damage combos right here. It's a little resource intensive. Your hand does have to be sculpted into Futabas and Kaorukos. But the payoff? Well, the payoff's insane. I'm not going to go like a ton into the math, but I'll just say this, like, there are very reasonable deck states where this has an 80 to 90% chance, or even higher, to kill your opponent from 3-0. Just straight up. Like 90% chance they're just dead from 3-0. There are times where this is like 60% to kill them from like 2-5. Anecdotal, obviously, but I've killed plenty of people with this combo so far, just from like dropping them while my opponent was at like 2-4, and they just die. Because it's just so much damage. And if your opponent's at level 3, when you drop 3 Kaorukos, you pretty much win on the spot. It's really amazing. This card, if you're playing Revue because you want to be competitive, this card is the reason you're playing it. It is arguably the best finisher in the English format at this point. It's at a lot of deck states and damage numbers, it is pretty much on par with Mikasa. But there are for sure damage states where it just actually beats Mikasa by 10 to 20% on kill rate. And same with Yukina, right? Like Yukina and Mikasa always sort of, they're the 2 big scary finishers in the format, and now this is up there with them, if not higher. So yeah, we just want to bounce things, direct attack for 4, and kill our opponent if they cancel or not. Because obviously if you're 4 sticks, then whatever, your opponent probably died anyway. Yeah, man, this card's just nuts. This card's... Whew. Alright, let's, I don't think I have actually a whole lot else to say about this card. It's a pretty simple card, right? It's just insanely powerful. So here's my top 10. You can see out of that top 10, actually, I thought more of these were Futabas and Kaorukos. Only 3 of them are. The finisher itself, and then the Brainstorm and the 4K. Giraffe's yellow, so it sort of fits in. And the honorable mention level assist is a Kaoruko, so it's sort of, if you're trying to beat out Sunshine and stuff, it slots into the same deck pretty easily. The bond to the Futaba 4K is a Kaoruko, so it's a discard target. And we'll see some others in these deck builds. So we can actually move straight in here to sample deck lists. The first one is the yellow Futaba and Kaoruko deck. So this is sort of the way that the set sort of pushes you into one of 5 different pairings for deck builds in this set, and encourages you to use those characters sort of predominantly in your deck. Futaba and Kaoruko as one of the pairings. The others being Karen and Hikari, Karen and Mahiru, Juna and Nana, and then Claudine and Maya. So this was the Futaba and Kaoruko deck. You could obviously, like, the Kaoruko has to discard a Futaba or Kaoruko, so we play a lot. We saw the Nana level 3 is just sort of in here as a healer in this deck mostly. Since we don't have a healer otherwise, sometimes you want the healer and can play it. It's usually not really relevant outside of that. The level 3 Futaba is on play, draw 2, discard 1. On attack, if you have a character with Kaoruko in its card name in your middle position, you can pay 1, discard 1, deal 1 damage, and it gains 1,000 power. So in the scenarios where we don't get 3 Kaorukos down, we want to have 2 Kaorukos and 1 Futaba. So the Kaorukos will each give each other 1 instance of Cancel Burn 2, and then they'll both give an instance to the Futaba. So we're swinging like 4 with Burn 2 on Cancel, 4 with Burn 2 on Cancel, and then Futaba swings Burn 1, Swing 3, or Swing 4, with Burn 2, Burn 2 on Cancel. Which, it's good that we're stacking them on her because she has more instances of damage and is more likely to cancel, so we get more payoff in the instance that they do cancel. And that finishing setup's obviously not as powerful as 3 Kaoruko, so it's not as powerful as like Yukina and Mikasa, but it is still a very reasonable finisher setup that's often killing from like 3-0, 3-1, definitely killing from 3-2, like Yami range. Then we have 2 copies of My Own Shine Mahiru Suyuzaki. This is -1 level in hand if you have 2 or fewer climaxes in your waiting room. And on play, check top X, add 1 to hand, put the rest in waiting room, where X is the number of your Revue characters. We're playing this because Kaoruko herself can't dig for her climax. So we either have to draw it or play some other character to dig for it. The Futaba does draw 2, ditch 1. Sometimes 2 cards isn't enough. So we have the Mahiru to dig 5 when we really need it. It's sort of there like the Armin is in Attack on Titan, where like, yeah, Mikasa draws 1, but drawing 1 doesn't really like dig. Sometimes you draw her climax off of it, a lot of times you don't. So you want to play the Armin to check top 5 and add the climax, and that's the same thing the Mahiru is here for. Unfortunately, this deck is just generally more resource heavy than Attack on Titan. In terms of like what you need at your top end. So like sculpting for the Mahiru and being able to play it won't happen as often as the Armin, but it's there for when we need it. We're playing 2 copies of the level assist that I showed because, you know, you might as well try to beat out the early play decks, right? We're playing 2 copies of Truth Behind Words Kaoruko Hanayagi. So that's the 2-1 there in the top right. Its first effect is on play. You put the top 2 cards of your deck into your waiting room. If there's a level 0 or lower character revealed, then she gains the ability to side attack without soul penalty for the turn. So that's similar to the Arisa 2-1 from Girls Band Party that turns into the 3-2, right, where it can resonate to side attack without soul penalty. And for similar reasons as to why you'd want to do that. This Kaoruko can turn into the 3-2 climax combo. But it doesn't do it when your opponent frontal attacks. That's very important to note. People don't read this card. And they're used to every other thing being like, when this is frontal attack, pay 1, sack this, play the new thing. This one doesn't do that. 3-2 Kaoruko bounces. So if it did that, you could bounce your opponent's attackers during attack step and like anti-damage them. People think that's how it works. And then they're like, wow, this card's really broken. That's not how it works. Don't do that. It's at the beginning of the encore step of the turn that it was frontal attacked. You can pay 1, sack it, and play the Kaoruko from your hand. So you're not really saving resources, but you're getting your Kaorukos out earlier, which means you can sort of use this as a way to you play the 2-1, swing with it, and then so you're not really losing cards because you're going to play a shitter anyway. Like if you were trying to attack and just sort of deal damage, you're going to play some random level 0 or 1. So you're playing the Kaoruko for 1 stock and then changing for one, quote unquote changing for 1 stock. So you're not really losing resources on this, but it puts the Kaoruko on the board at level 2, where you can maybe bounce your opponent's early play. If you didn't have the level assist to stop it, you could say like bounce their Yo after they frontal attack your 2-1, or you could bounce From there, what else you'd want to bounce? Since a lot of early plays have on-play effects that are kind of problematic. I mean, say you're playing it's like Sword Art, you can bounce their like 3/2 Asuna assist if they stand by that out. So there are some things that are like beneficial to bounce at level 2 using this effect, that you don't want to wait until level 1 to try to bounce. Thing you have to be careful about is if you do change and put the Karuko on board, if you're not just like going for game, your opponent might be able to kill Karuko on the backswing, and that makes your finishing turn a lot worse. So you have to be careful not to just like put your Karuko out there where it can die. The 1/0 Leotard Futaba Isurugi is basically the same as the 0/0. It gains 3,000 in a soul in middle position, but it also has Clock Encore. So this one's a 6k 2 soul. You can Encore it to keep it around. We're mainly just playing it because it has the same name. It puts us up to 6 cards that need to be in middle position. So you have to be careful not to like hold on to too many of them, because then you have cards that are just actual like under-spec vanillas. And they are very under-spec. But in middle position, they're really strong. So we play it just so we always sort of have a 2-soul beater. Oh boy. Feelings of the two. I haven't memorized all these card names, so I'm going to read them on like super ant pictures. Yeah, Feelings of the Two, Karuko and Futaba. This is one of the box toppers. It's if you have 2 or more other characters with Futaba or Karuko in their name, it gains 1,000 power, so it becomes a 5k. And on play, you can give a character 1,500. We're mainly using this to like power pump our level 1 combo, which is the next card I'll talk about. Because it does have to reverse, and it's not super big, so giving it like some extra amount of power is pretty cool. It can also just like pump early plays to kill things, or pump our 1/0 Mahirus that you can see there up to attacking for like 8k. Because the power pump's not name locked like the other effect is. So they can attack for like 8,000 power, which is pretty big. You're forcing counters out of things at the very least. The Futaba, Our Flower Path Futaba Isurugi is 1/0 on play plus 1,500, so it becomes a 6k. And then Climax combo on reverse. Search your deck for a Revue character, reveal it to your opponent, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck. The Climax for her is the closest to you return that you see down there in the bottom right. And then my best self is the return for the Karuko level 3. So we're playing 8 return triggers, which is iffy, but we kind of have to for this deck to work. Because we do want our Climax combo at level 1 to be sort of a name that we can discard for the level 3 if we need to. Then we have the 4 Mahirus to give us some mill, give us some hand fix. We don't have a whole lot of discard outs in this deck. And she also just attacks big and provides us red color fix for the early play Mahiru, which we do have to run to get the top check top X. On level 0, we have the Brimming with Confidence. That's what that says. Karuko Hanayagi. It's a 0/500. It's the one I was talking about that bonds the 4K, the 4K 2 soul. So it's a clock bond, and like I said, on attack you can discard 1 to return 1 to your hand. So in this deck, we can use it to sort of protect our level 1 combo to reuse it, or we can bounce the Mahiru in order to, mill 2, maybe hand fix again, bounce our Brainstorm, because again, the Futaba, actually pretty much every level 1 character we have can potentially wall out Chica if we give it the anti-bomb effect. Because even the box topper, if we have 2 or more other Futaba or Karukos, making it 5k, that beats out Chica as well. And obviously if they beat out Chica, they beat out the Gun-Gale Trial Deck combo and Konosuba bombs. So, being able to bounce that and reuse that's really strong. We can bounce the box topper to give the 1,500 on play again. Just like tons of cool things like that, right? And then the whole level 0 lineup actually was in my top 10, so I'm not really going to speak a whole lot on it. The Karens are at 4 because we need red fix, and they're pretty much our only selective plussing 0 other than the Brainstorm. And then the Claudines are there for a little extra mill and hand filter. There's also a cool thing you can do with the bond, where you can like you can discard cards that don't have Karuko or Futaba in their card name to return ones from your stage that do, to sort of always sculpt your hand into discard targets for your level 3 Karuko. So the next deck is the Karin and Hikari deck. So this is one of the other pairings that you can focus on. So this one, we play the Nana level 3s. Again, they heal, but we have other healers. They're actually in this deck for the Power Pump abilities, where they global 15 and give your middle position 1,000 during your turn. And the on-play effect, where you can summon a character from your opponent's waiting room to their stage. Because in this deck, we do need to reverse for our level 3 combo. So this can sort of guarantee us extra reverse targets if our opponent does manage to crash some of their board in. So the Karin, level 3, Passion and Shine Karin Ijo is, let's see, on play from hand or by the ability of the Hikari 3/2 that's right beside her. You can put the top card of your clock into your waiting room, so it heals. And then Climax combo with the comeback that the stage continues nonetheless, so it's the one on the left there. When it's placed, or when she attacks, if it's in your climax area, and a card named Passion and Shine Karin Ijo is in the middle position of your center stage, this gains plus 1,500 in the following ability. So if the one in the middle is attacking, it'll see itself and gain the power. But if you have one on the left or right that's attacking, it's checking that you have another copy in the middle. So you can field multiples of this. There just always has to be one in the middle. Because it's the whole flavor thing with the set, them fighting over position 0. They all want to be in the middle position. But you have to be careful with deck building sometimes, right? Because they can't all be in the middle position. So you don't want too many that need that. So the ability it gains is when it reverses battle opponent, you pay 2, discard 1, deal 3 damage. Pretty basic. Just a good finishing effect that you're trying to... this is different from Karuka because you're not finishing as powerful, but you're getting heals, so you're playing maybe a little more sustain. And you have better triggers because we're playing 8 comebacks instead of 8 returns, obviously. So sort of a trade-off between raw power and a little more consistency. The 3/2 Hikari, which something about blossoming, I'm pretty sure. Auto, when this is placed on stage from your hand, you can pay 1 to choose the Karin level 3 from your waiting room, play it to your stage. So this is the whole Mirai ticket, Shika Yo thing, where one summons the other from waiting room. Which then does activate the Karin's healing ability. And then her other effect is a climax combo with the same comeback. It's, let's see. Timing is beginning of your encore step. If the climax is in play and this is in your center stage, you can pay 1 and put 1 character from the middle position of your center stage with Karin in its card name into your waiting room. So it doesn't have to be the level 3, but it does have to have Karin in its card name, so it's usually going to be the level 3, because ideally you're resolving both of these climax combos with either 2 Karens and a Hikari, or maybe 3 Karens, but 2 Karens and a Hikari is what's usually happening here. So you sack off that Karin, and then you rest the Hikari. So if she's already rested, she just stays rested, but if she reversed, then she rests herself, so pseudo encore. Move this card to the open middle position of your center stage, deal 1 damage to your opponent. This card gains 2,000 power and Great Performance until the end of your opponent's next turn. So Great Performance is the ability that if it's not reversed, and it's in the middle position of your center stage, all of your opponent's characters have to attack her. She only becomes 12k, so it's not actually super relevant because they probably are just going to reverse her. But the 1 damage does help a lot, right? Because usually your opponent's not going to have 3 things that you can reverse. So you'll be using your 2 Karens to reverse 2 things. And then you have the Nana to be because obviously you have to have a Karen in your middle position. So if they try to crash their middle, you can use the Nana to put 1 there. So you'll have a Karin in the middle and a Karin on the side column reversing things. And then your Hikari will direct attack. And then since it doesn't have a reverse target, and then sack one of your Karens to deal the 1 damage, since you weren't going to get the burn 3 anyway. And there's a neat play you can do where if you only have a reverse target in the middle, you can play 1 Karin and 2 Hikaris. Reverse, deal 3, encore step, sack the Karin, move the Hikari, deal 1, pay 3, encore the Karin, and then sack it again for the other Hikari, which is strange, but it's doable. It gets you a little bit of extra damage against decks that do manage to crash their whole board, but it's pretty resource intensive, so it doesn't really ever come up. We play the Mahiru early play for. It's an early play. It digs. Neither of our level 3s in this build can dig for their own climax either. So just like in the Kairuko deck, we're playing it to dig for climaxes. We're playing 1 copy of the trial deck Karin, which I talked about in my top 10. We're playing 4 copies of the Natural Stage Girl Hikari Kagura. So this is from the trial deck. It is a level 1, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is from the trial deck. It's a level 1 bomb. It's during your turn, it gains 1,000 power, so it becomes 4k. And then when it becomes reversed, if the battle opponent's level 1 or lower, you can reverse that character. Our level 1 combo gives an ability to other characters that's on reverse. So this pretty much reverses anything level 1, which is how we're going to get over like really big walls, like standby on guard silicas and stuff like that. And like all of Kantai pretty much. We're playing 4 of the 1-0 Mahiru. I've talked a lot about this card. It attacks for 65, which also sort of plays into needing to reverse things in this deck. It's one of the biggest options that we have for power, and it gives us utility, which is really strong in this deck, and it's on color. Then we have 3 copies of the Trial Deck level 1 combo. It's Exchanging Fate, Hikari and Karin. Climax combo, when this attacks, if the path to becoming top star, which is the comeback on the right, is in your climax area, pay 1, all of your other characters gain the following ability. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, choose a character in waiting room, return it to hand. We're only playing 3 because you just want 1 copy on board. Just swing with this, pay 1. You give like your Mahiru 1-0 and your level 1 bomb the ability to on reverse salvage, and then kill 2 things with them and +2 off of it, which is pretty cool. It's also just on a comeback, which is really why we're playing it, because it's the best trigger we can fit in. You can play other combos. There is another comeback combo. This is just the one that sort of fits in thematically with the deck the best, and still gets us enough selectivity for the deck to work really well. Next, we have My Own Shine, Kairuko Hanayagi. So that's the Brainstorm. We've said enough about it. We play 2 copies of the Stage of Fate for Taba Isurugi. This is again from the trial deck. It's a 500 assist, and when you play a climax, you choose one of your characters and give it 1,000 power. So we can use this to power pump when we need to kill lanes that are even bigger. We can also use it to pump 1,000 into our Karin if we're trying to kill something at level 3, right? So it sort of just has... it gives you relevant power throughout the entire game. Next, we have 3 copies of the Mahiru Bomb, because it is on color in this deck. We do play a lot of level 3. Well, not a lot, but we play like, 8, 9, 10, 11. We play 11 level 3s, so we'll stock charge every now and then. But it's also a level 0 bomb. So if our opponent leaves level 0s on board, it is another way to sort of guarantee that we're killing something. Which seems kind of weird, but you know, we're playing a lot of level 0s, and not a lot of them are super big. So if our opponent does leave oversizes and we don't have enough level 1s, it's a way to really, it's actually better than level 1 a lot of times, because we can reverse their guy, get our climax combo off, and our Mahiru dies because we bombed them. So we don't leave a reverse target and for our opponent to feed off of. So it's just sort of another cool thing that plays in with the combos of the deck. 4 of the Karin, obviously. 4 Stage Girls Summer Hikari. So we're actually playing this instead of the Futaba 4K. This is just a vanilla runner with no conditions. It's just beginning of your opponent's attack phase, you can move it to an open position of your center stage. Since this deck does need a reverse combo in multiple lanes, we want to deny as many crashes of our opponents as possible. And this does its best. It's a +0 if we open it, and it can deny crashes and also deny reverses. So it's sort of multifunctional here to feed into our game plan. And then we play 3 copies of the Claudine, again for hand filter and for mill. Because it's just the best hand filter we have in the set. And moving on to the last deck. So this is the Maya and Claudine deck. And we've actually fit in the Juna and Nana engine also into this deck. Instead of... there is a Claudine level 1 combo on a draw that you can play to keep this sort of mono blue. but I've chosen to go with this one just to sort of show off some more cards. And this is still, if you look at Japanese lists from what they've been playing, they actually really like this engine. So I figured I'd show it off in a deck. Just to fit more cards in here. Obviously, you can go read the set for yourself and decide how you want to build things. These are just intended to be sort of starting points, not the best builds. I probably should have said that at the beginning, right? I think this sort of gives you a good idea of a lot of cards you can play, and it's still, if you put these 50 cards together and sleeve them up, you're playing a good deck, right? So 2 Nanas, as always. In this build, it's less because we want to reverse target, and more because sometimes side attack, like I was talking about earlier. This is the restander build. So I already sort of mentioned a little bit of why. We've got the Brave Readiness Maya 10. So this is a 3/2. If you have 2 or more other Revue characters, it gains 2,000, so it becomes 11k. Pay 1 when it's placed. You can choose the Claudine Saijo level 3 from your waiting room and put it on your stage. Same effect as the Mirai ticket and the Hikari and Karin that we just saw. Climax combo. This ability activates up to 2 times per turn. When this attacks, if the show must go on, which is the blue gate trigger, if it's in your climax area, you can put the top card of your clock, into your waiting room. So it heals on attack with the climax combo. The Claudine, Noble Will Claudine Saijo, is when it's placed from hand to stage, or by the auto effect of the Maya, you can look at up to 3. Choose one, put it in hand, put the rest in waiting room. So this is the only finisher in the set, really, that digs for its own climax. Which is cool, because like the Hikari and Karin, the Hikari plussed into the Karin, so that was its sort of cantrip effect, and the Karin's on play was to heal. But this one, the Maya heals as its climax combo, so it doesn't take up the sort of on play effect slot that it has. So it still gets the plus into the Claudine, and the Claudine gets to cantrip. So we get sort of everything out of these 2 instead of having to choose between cantripping and plussing. They just sort of give us everything since one of them is tied to a climax combo. The Claudine's climax combo is at the end of this card's attack. If the same climax is in play, you can pay 3, discard 1 to choose the Maya in your middle position and stand it. So that's what lets us get multiple attacks with the Maya, which means we get to heal twice. Unfortunately, if you attack, stand, attack, you still only get 2 heals because it doesn't activate a 3rd time. We can get 3 attacks off with the Maya if we have 2 Claudines on board, which is why we're playing 4 of the Claudine and only 3 Mayas. Because ideally we have Maya in the center, and then are in the middle position, and then the Claudines on the sides. The other level 3 you're playing is the Juna Hoshimi. It's an early play, -1 level if you have 2 or fewer climax in waiting room. On play, it does heal, and it has a climax combo with the shot, Night of the Star Festival. So that climax combo is pay 1, discard 1. When it attacks, the climax is in play, and you have I'm sorry. If you have a copy of itself, God, this text is tiny. If you have a copy of itself in the middle position, so it's just like the Karin, where you can have multiples, but the Juna does have to be in the middle. So if you have one on the left, you still need another copy in the middle. You pay 1, discard 1 if it's in the middle. If you have a copy of it in the middle, you look at up to 4 cards from the top of your opponent's deck, choose up to 4, put them in their waiting room, return the rest to their deck, shuffle, and then this card gains 1,000. So sort of a decompression combo. A lot of decks play this kind of combo as like their quote-unquote finisher, where they decompress their opponent. Red builds of ReZero. It's kind of similar to Mocha. We get to check more cards, but we have to shuffle them. And many Japanese lists did just play this Juna as their finisher, and played sort of like 2 advantage combos. But we're playing it more as an early play, and maybe we're doing this at level 2 just to sort of push a little more damage, and less of like an actual finisher. We have 1 copy of the Nana counter. It's an anti-change counter. Unfortunately, it's not a very good one. It's a 2/1 2500 backup. And then when you use the backup effect, you can pay 2 and put a character from your stage into your waiting room to choose one of your opponent's characters with a higher level than them and put it into their stock. So it does give our opponent 1 extra stock, but it's a sack counter, so it gives us a little bit of utility there. And since we are playing early plays and we're playing level 1s that get a little more power, it can keep some things alive. We're again playing 2 copies of level assist. Since it's a level assist, it does have utility in this deck to keep our early play alive. But it's also, we're playing yellow, so we're playing it to sort of beat out the early play decks again. We're playing 1 Juna Anti-Change Bomb. The climax combo on it we're not playing, but it's when it becomes reversed. If the battle opponent is a higher level than your opponent, you can put it at the bottom of your opponent's deck. So just even more ways to beat early plays. And you see we are playing the Mahiru bombs in this deck, so it gives us even higher level 2 or higher count to get more stock more often, because this is another deck that, since we're early playing and have a finisher combo, it's pretty stock heavy. We're playing 2 copies of Leotard Futaba, again, just 2 soul in middle, and it's a 6k. And then we play Good at Cooking Nana Daiba as our level 1 combo. It gets plus 500 power for each of your other Revue characters, and then on attack, reveal top. If it's Revue, add it to hand. So it's the same combo that Gun Gale play on their level 1 if they're playing the trial deck one. It's the 2 soul Ruby combo. It's not a very high quality plus, but it's on the same climax as our early plays combo. And since we're playing Gate, we can sort of get the climax a little more often, meaning we can recur this and get value throughout the game. And we can even play this on the same turn as using the early play combo. And since it's a 6k, it can keep a little bit of power where we might win some lanes with counters. We are playing 2 of the 2000 power backup at level 1, so we can keep our level 1s alive, keep our early plays alive, just there for when we need it, really. 4 copies of the Futaba, 4k2 soul, good card. That's all that really needs to be said there. It's also yellow, which this deck needs the yellow fix because it's not playing a whole ton of yellow. We're actually only playing 15 cards plus the climaxes, which is enough, but we needed it at level 1, so we gotta play as much yellow as we can. 3 of the Mahiru bombs, 4 of the Karens. We're playing a different Brainstorm in this deck. So this Brainstorm is the search one, so it's pay 1, rest it, Brainstorm 4 for each climax. We have to search our deck for a Revue character, which generally you'd think is better than the salvage. The secondary effect's not as good as Karuko's unplay effect, though. So at the beginning of your climax phase, you may look at the top card of your deck, and then you put it back on top. Since it's climax phase, we can't really do much with that information, right? We know what it is, but at that point, it's too late to change it. It does tell us, oh, it's a trigger, or it's not a trigger, so we can sort of maybe know what to attack with first. We're oh, it's not a trigger, let's direct attack first, so our 2 or 3 soul attack doesn't get bigger. Stuff like that. But it also works with our level 1 combo, because we can look at the top and know whether we should attack with the Nana first or not to top check and add to hand. Because obviously if you see a climax, then you know, oh, let's not attack with Nana because we're going to miss. And then we're playing 3 of the Claudines because discard out, right? And we're playing 4 shot, 4 gate. So yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. We had 3 deck builds here. There's plenty you can do with this. I didn't really touch on the Mahiru stuff, like Mahiru Karen pairing. It's a little more of a not as powerful payoff. It doesn't have a finisher tied to it. It's more of just a bunch of searching effects and check top forward effects to get, I guess mill and consistency, but you just don't really have a top end to go with it. So it's more of what I call a budget deck. They're mostly commons and uncommons. But yeah, so hopefully you guys have seen these 3. The deck that I've personally been playing, I actually didn't show here. I'll probably make a video on it later if it continues working out well for me. But I'm playing a standby. I'm playing the Kaoruko finisher with standby. Very similar to the Kaoruko Futaba list I showed. You just were cutting the Futaba 1-0s for more copies of the 2-1. So we can standby the 2-1 out and then change into the level 3 as early as possible. And it saves us a lot of resources. So we're not putting as many resources into getting Kaorukos on the board, so we have more to pay the stock and discard to use their actual effect. And I find that we triple combo more consistently. But yeah, as I said, thank you guys for watching. I might have a video up on that later. Otherwise, there's no more sets coming out until next month when Batman Ninja comes out. But hopefully between now and then, I'll have some other videos with different stuff up. So yep, check me out on YouTube, BoatsDon'tSink, Twitter, BoatsDon'tSink, the Vice Shorts Global Community on Facebook, and the Card Games Discord, which we have a link to there. Thank you, and I will see you guys next time.